Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are the best Pokemon games of all time. There is absolutely no doubt that while Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are amazing games, they come with a fair amount of absolutely just and fair criticism. However, despite that criticism, I still think that these are some of the best games that we have seen in the Pokemon franchise. I'm going to break it down in two different points that kind of avoid talking about the story and the characters past the tutorial, because I don't want to spoil that for you guys, because it is some of the best we have seen in the entire Pokemon franchise. I don't think we've seen story or characters this good since Generation 5, and that is really saying something. Anyways, let me start off by talking about the open world and the routes, if you can even call them routes. While I discuss this point, I'll have a side-by-side comparison on the screen of the route leading up to the first town in Galar and the route leading up to the first town in Paldea, just to show the drastic difference between the two. The camera movement you get right from the beginning, the freedom of movement around the area, the views you get right outside the gate, it's not just a 10-foot space to walk around that pushes you in the same linear space for eternity with just some patches of grass and maybe some hills. You can easily get lost in exploring just on Area 1 in Paldea. You go through caves, grasslands, there's beaches, you see mountains, and it's all on the first route, or area if you want to call it that. It's a diverse landscape even before we see the first town. It's crazy how many different things you can find before hitting Los Platos. Not to mention the sheer amount of Pokemon that we get to see. It makes it so immersive to see a Pokemon of all different types all over this first route. You can easily fill up all 6 slots on your team with both new and old Pokemon before we even get to the first large town being Mesagoza. You want a water type? Here's Psyduck and Wiglet. You want a flying type? Take a Fletchling or a Hoppip. You want a fighting type? Well, here's Flamigo right in that first route. Need that early psychic Pokemon? Well, here's Drowsy for you. Need a ghost? How about Ghastly? I mean, it is absolutely insane the amount of Pokemon you can get so quickly in this game. Again, not trying to tease too much, but the amount of time you can spend before the first gym is truly unparalleled. Many people, including myself, report spending 3, 4, even 10 hours or more exploring the world before you even touch the first gym. In my playthrough on this channel, which you should check out and subscribe to see more episodes, they give you so much to see and do before you even interact with the first gym or Team Star or the Stony Cliff Titan. As I exited Mesagoza myself, I was unable to resist exploring all around and doing Terra raids and looking at what was all before me in a vast open world. I'm a firm believer in the gotta catch 'em all mindset, and before I even hit the town with the first gym, I had amassed over 60 entries in my Pokédex. Before the first gym, I had enough Pokemon to fill 10 teams worth of Pokemon. I had to tear myself away and reorient myself just to progress on the story because I was that enthralled in the world. I truly love this open world environment. Also, on the topic of Pokemon, I've heard lots of people saying that Pokemon like Flamigo are literally just the animal they are based on and too basic. Which is an amazing take, isn't it? Because I have also heard nearly the same amount of people say, these Pokemon are just too much. They're literally just making Digimon now. I think if you have 50% of Gen 1ers saying it's too basic and 50% of Gen 1ers saying they're just Digimon, they're over-designed, then I think you hit a pretty healthy medium for most of the Pokemon fanbase, making the Dex a pretty good entry into the franchise. Also, if you think I'm being ridiculous, let me say I agree Flamigo is too basic. I don't enjoy the Pokemon much because it's too simple. But saying it's a generational issue is where I draw the line, when Gen 1 gave us eggs and Gen 5 gave us a pigeon. It's been a thing all the way through Pokemon, and it's okay to have personal preferences, but don't push them on the entire Dex and everyone else. Anywho, let's go on to the next point. Man, are we still trying to make it through the first area on Scarlet and Violet? Well, sorry to cut that off, but we have places to be. I guess there's just too much to see in Scarlet and Violet. The other point that I want to talk about that makes Scarlet and Violet so great is that it seems like they really tried to improve on criticisms and critiques from past gens, while also including many of the things that we really enjoyed from the past Pokemon generations and things that made Pokemon feel like Pokemon. The key to making a Pokemon game that people will enjoy is being innovative with new ideas while keeping the traditions that give us nostalgia and make the Pokemon franchise what it is. However, the tricky part with the second half of that sentence is not making it feel repetitive and monotonous. We have all heard the joke or the line that Pokemon fans just get excited to buy the same game over and over again with a different cover. And it's absolutely true. Pokemon games always go the same way. Route, city, then gym. Route, then city, gym. Route, city, gym. Route, city, gym. It gets very monotonous and you know what to expect at every corner. But in Paldea, they not only gave us areas instead of routes to make it bigger and more adventurous, they improved gyms as a whole. Instead of 8 gyms, there are technically 18, one for each Pokemon type. 8 regular gyms, 5 star bases, and 5 Titan Pokemon. All specialize in a certain type and give badges, and this alone gives us such a different experience because we can interact with all the different types, and it makes the game way longer and way more involved, which is super good for replayability. On top of that, the normal gyms don't function like normal gyms. Rather than trying to find your way through puzzles, which I will admit is something that I miss very dearly, we get to do small tests and activities that take place outside of the gym to show our readiness. This is a great mix between gyms and the trials from Generation 7. This made gyms feel less like the same old that we were used to, but keeps them familiar enough so that people that enjoy gyms still get that nostalgic feeling that they offer. Another way that they expertly made gyms not monotonous and not tedious is by allowing us to do all 18 gyms in any order. You can easily do a gym, then a Titan, then 2 more gyms, then a Starbase, then another Titan. It keeps things interesting and keeps you engaged in 3 main stories all the way through. Although, let me go on record saying not scaling the gyms and the Titans and the star bases was a huge miss, but hopefully something that they will fix in the next generation of Pokemon. I had several times where I was walking around and accidentally stumbled upon a star base or Titan and just attempted to tackle it, sometimes failing. It made the world feel so alive to accidentally stumble on more story and more things to do instead of knowing what was coming next. Speaking of the story, I think they blended this story perfectly into these games. There were cutscenes that were well spaced out, but not so frequent that they were overbearing and really ruining your journey throughout the region. It was enough to keep you engaged through the entire story by giving you little hints and drips of it, making you want to progress the story more, while not harshly interrupting your journey by forcing you to go through a cutscene as you were trying to get something done. Compared to the last few generations, I think it was a great amount. It didn't handhold you and drag you through the story against your will with cutscenes every 50 steps like Alola did, but it also didn't exclude you from the story by allowing others to handle it like Galar did. There were several times in the Galar region where Leon handled the threat so you didn't have to, and it really kept you from getting involved in the story and the plot that was building around not only Eternatus, but Chairman Rose himself. I really think that Paldea is the opposite of this because it keeps you not only involved in the main story, it keeps you involved in 3 main stories, which are seriously some of the best storylines we have had in a Pokemon game ever. They also upgraded many other things like the speed you play the game at by allowing you to not stop when you pick up items, allowing you to traverse extremely quickly as you progress through the game, making battle animations go by quicker, and significantly increasing the speed of raid battles in this game. Speaking of those raid battles, the Terastallized mechanic seems like it has a chance to be the best competitive and most fun gimmick we have had in all of Pokemon. Unlike Megas, every Pokemon has access. Unlike Dynamax, you can do it anywhere. And unlike Z-moves, you have to think strategically about when to use your mechanic instead of nuking every battle you have with one strong move. Another great thing with Terastallizing is allowing in-game teams to have a unique ace Pokemon like the Paldea Gym Leaders, and instead of just boosting the same type move or making types of a Pokemon stronger, it allows you to essentially Uno reverse your opponent's play by taking a Pokemon with a 4x weakness and giving it a resistance instead. Hello, my Fire-type Dragonite. Lastly, I want to address the point where people are claiming it is a step back from Arceus. I think it took a lot from Legends and took the correct amount in my opinion. Part of what makes Legends special is that it is a fun game next to the mainline games, and one I hope continues into Legends Celebi or Legends Unova or anything because those games are awesome. But if we make mainline Pokemon games just like Legends, I can promise you that they would see no reason to keep making Legends games as the mainline games get the job done, and Game Freak's not really known for being overachievers. Raging wild Pokemon makes sense in a story before people caught Pokemon across the world. It doesn't quite make sense in Paldea where Pokemon live in harmony with people. And I know we all missed the catching mechanic, but I truly think a Legends style catching mechanic would make these games way too fast and too boring. The Legends catching style is absolutely fantastic when you have to catch 130 Bidoof to complete a Dex entry. Not so much when you only have to catch one Pokemon to make the Dex entry complete and never look at it again. You would throw a Pokeball at a couple hundred Pokemon and be done with the dex rather quickly, and what fun would you have had interacting and catching with these Pokemon? Let's please let Legends games be Legends games. There is a reason we love them, and I want to continue that love for many iterations to follow, not see it interwoven into mainline games and dropped as an entire idea. There are so many things I want to touch on, like the amazing music, the fact that the co-op lets you seamlessly play with friends for your entire journey while you all accomplish your own goals. Seriously, you gotta try the Union Circle feature. It is mind-blowing. And most importantly, the fact that this open world and 18 gyms you can take on in any order truly makes each playthrough unique. You can easily watch my playthrough on YouTube, which you should do, and then play it through on your own, and we would have two entirely different ways of playing. Each playthrough is unique, and I think that is absolutely beautiful and really captures the idea of what is Pokemon. Now, if you are upset about the lag and glitches and bugs in a supposedly finished game, good. You should be. You should be mad. You should be absolutely furious. This is the biggest media franchise of all time, and when it comes time to give a game to their fans, they deliver an unfinished product. You should be mad. I'm mad. We should all be upset. I am the biggest Game Freak defender that I know. I will always say, oh no, well they had this, oh no, well technically this, but not this time. There's no way to really defend this. This game is buggy, it's laggy, and it's unfinished with dev markers all over the place. If you walk into one of the Titan layers, you can see a dev marker clear as day right in the center of the floor. It shouldn't be allowed, and we shouldn't take it. If you want to get your refund, you should. If you want to start a petition, you should. If you want to complain online to your friends and boycott the game, you absolutely should. But with that being said, I still think that despite the bugs and the lagging and the FPS, the frame rate, I still think this is the best entry in the franchise. So imagine what will happen when we finally get patches that actually deliver us a final game like we should have gotten. I truly think that Paldea has a lot more to offer, and I cannot wait to see what comes next for me and for you in Paldea. But of course, I want to know what you think. Did you love the game or did you hate it? Make sure to let me know down in the comments. Check out my playthrough, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one.